This program is recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. The audio for this program can be heard on WRFP LP 101.9 FM.
Chippewa Valley Community Television presents Your Local Race. Meet the Candidates 2016.
Hello, I'm Bob Brown, News Director at Chippewa Valley Community Television. Welcome to another in our series of interviews with candidates for seats on the Eau Claire County Board. Today we're speaking with David Mortimer, candidate for the District 16 seat on the Eau Claire County Board. District 16 lies just to the west of the downtown Eau Claire area along Water Street. David, why don't we begin by maybe you taking a couple minutes here to introduce yourselves to the voters and tell them why it is you want to serve on the county board.
Okay. I'd like to serve on the county board because I think that I have something to offer, and I think when Joel Michelson, who is the current supervisor for District 16, came to me and asked if I would be interested in running since he was going to retire, I thought about it, talked to my family, and thought, yeah, my kids are old enough and I can dedicate the time, and I've been to a lot of county board meetings also. And Joel said he'd support me, he'd endorse me. So I think that running for county board is a good fit, and I think I have a wide and diverse background.
What kind of personal qualities do you think you bring to the board that would be helpful to it in its deliberations?
I think one personal quality that's really important is listening. And I think the past two supervisors in our district, Barry Robinson and Joel Michelson, are examples of that. Joel's open door policy at Joel's Auto on Water Street, when people can come in there almost any time of day during work hours and talk to him, is really exemplary. And Barry Robinson was like that too, tremendous listeners. And that's why my campaign, my slogan on my signs and my door flyers are Mortimer for County Board, more time for you. My daughters think that's kind of dorky, but that's why.
All right. Now, county board members each one serves on at least one and sometimes as many as three different of the many standing committees, which encompass the whole range of issues that the county board works on. Of those committees, are there ones in particular that you would hope to be assigned to if you get elected to the board?
Yes, I'm actually very interested in two different committees. Committee on Administration, I think, is really important, and also the Committee on Planning and Development. Those are very important committees when it gets to budget time and talking about budgets. But even more important than that, I think that the Commission on Shared Services Initiatives, it's called the Joint Commission on Shared Services Initiatives, is really important too, and that's something I'm very interested in.
Do you have any sort of professional experiences that would make you particularly effective in those committees?
Well, actually my background, my occupation, I've been a pastor in the inner city Chicago congregation, a rural Mondovi congregation in the Evangelical Covenant Church. Currently, I work for a health system and I manage federal grants. I'm the program director for 14 hospitals in 2 states that covers 2 million lives. And I love administrative things, I love attention to detail, and I think that's a good preparation for representing the constituents in the 16th district.
Okay. Do you foresee issues coming before the board in the next couple of years that will be particularly important to the residents of District 16?
I think the issues having to do with budget are very important to the residents. We're investing heavily in a confluence project which is going to bring economic development to our community, to our county, and that's very important. I also think that during budget time that it's very important too that the county not continue an upward trend of incurring additional debt. However that money is borrowed, whatever form it takes, it's something that Bob, you and I pay back. We're the taxpayers that service the debt.
You mentioned the Confluence Project, and there was a certain amount of controversy involved with that. Were you supportive of the board's decision to help financially support that project?
I am now. When I first saw that, being a taxpayer and seeing my property tax bill, it's always something that takes me a long time before I'm there, and I think it's going to be a wonderful project. Same thing with the jail, the county offices. When that expansion happened, I was initially thinking this incurs more debt, and I feel very deeply that the county board supervisors need to always be considering the ethical obligation that we have to future generations, and having good, sound financial stewardship is really important to that.
Okay. On that topic of financial stewardship, the county board, like most other units of local government, have seen their financial support coming from state and federal sources been on a pretty steady decline in the last 10 years or so. Do you have ideas? Can you bring new ideas to the board in terms of how to deal with those kinds of fiscal realities?
I think those fiscal realities are really difficult too, because we have an aging population, and with declining support from the state and a growing population, also more needs. It's important, I think, and I think that's also a reason for the Joint Commission on Shared Services Initiatives to be meeting regularly. This is a commission that includes representatives from the school district, from the city, and from the county, and they get together. Last year, I think the commission only met about 3 or 4 times, and I think it's something that is so important that it probably should meet monthly. And I think it's important too because it looks at different ways of sharing services, sharing expenses, reducing costs, avoiding duplication. You know, our schools, our city, our county, all the facilities need waste removal. An example is having a collaborative contract because sometimes when you have higher volumes, you can get better price points, and there's many other ways of sharing costs, group purchasing, etc. And that's a way of tightening our belts without hurting the people that depend on county services the most, especially the disadvantaged and the vulnerable populations.
Sure. Now, how do you, as an individual, again on the idea of fiscal constraints, how do you, as an individual, would you approach sort of that balancing act that the county board has to do in terms of, okay, we have X amount of dollars to work with, and we have residents of District 16 have something something that they want the county board to do. How do you approach that balancing act that has to?
Right. I'll give you an example of some numbers. In 2016, in our county budget, our debt service increased by 13%. So it's now at $6.8 million. So our average county tax bill for county services for a residential property is $522. Of that tax bill, $184 goes to the sheriff, $137 goes to human services, but ranked third is the debt service in the amount of $123. So that dwarfs maintenance, that dwarfs highways, the health department, and every other category, the courts, everything. When you commit so much to debt service, that's less funding that can go to employee salaries. We have tremendous employees in our county. They're not paid very well. It also depletes funds that could be going to services like the Bolton Refuge House, which hasn't had an increase in a very long time. The more debt service that we have, the less latitude we have to do things in our county that have direct effects on people's lives.
Okay. All right. In the short amount of time we have left, anything else you'd like to let the voters know about yourself, something to keep in their mind as they enter the voting booths on April 5th? Yes,
I think my goal or my outlook on public policy and making decisions on behalf of constituents is that my goal is to leave our county better than when I found it. And if I'm elected on April 5th, I will serve a term and be responsive and listen very carefully to constituents.
All right. David Mortimer, candidate for District 16 seat on the Eau Claire County Board. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. And thank you for watching. Tune in to channel 994 on your local cable system to see this and all the interviews we've had with candidates for the Eau Claire County Board, as well as candidates for the Eau Claire City Council and School Board. You can also access those interviews on our website on demand. Go to cvctv.org, inform yourself, and then get out on April 5th. Do your civic duty. Vote for the candidates of your choice. And then you can tune in that night beginning at 9 p.m. to see the latest returns as they come in. Thank you for watching.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cvctv.org.